Hello, class. Welcome to the summer quarter 2023 at International University of the East. This class is REL 131 Christian Doctrine. So, this is a hybrid class. It will be mostly online, but we will meet twice on campus. Uh, we will take the midterm and the final exam on campus. And I believe those dates are well, we'll get to the dates, but the fifth week and the 10th week of the class, we will meet on campus. All right. So before we begin, I'll just introduce you to myself. I know probably some of you have had me before. I've been teaching at this school for about 1 year now. I've also taught at Horizon University for 8 years, and I've been working at the office there for 4 years as well. Um, so I have, let's see, I've worked here for the last year and taught a few courses at both the graduate and undergraduate level in Christian theology. Most recently, I taught a course in Buddhism and Christianity for the graduate level, but I've also taught Old Testament survey for the undergraduate level. So maybe some of you were in that class. And then at Horizon University, I've taught a number of classes over the last 8 years. I grew up in the state of Alabama. I attended school in Nashville, Tennessee at Belmont University, and then I came to California and attended Fuller Theological Seminary, and I've been here ever since. Currently live in Redlands for the last couple of years. I was in Pasadena for many years before that. Uh, so I earned two master's degrees at Fuller Theological Seminary, Master of Divinity and Master of Arts in Intercultural Studies. And I've also served a couple different churches, mostly in youth ministry. So that's a little about myself. I've taught this course, Christian Doctrine. I've taught, partially taught it. I planned for it to be a two-part course, and so I've taught the first part, but I never had a chance to teach the second part. So I will actually be combining it back into just one course this time, all the material. So I will teach the entire material of Christian doctrine in just one course. Um, so let's see here. We'll go over the syllabus today and go over the first lecture. If we were meeting in person, I would like to have time to uh, get to know all of you better. Unfortunately, we will not have that time. So I know this is officially a Buddhist school, but not all of you are Buddhists. Some of you are probably Christians, as I am. Um, the school is open to those of different religions, and maybe some of you have no religious backgrounds, and that's for the purposes of this school. That's fine. My goal is to teach you Christian doctrine. Doctrine means teaching, so I want to teach you, or theologies, in other words. You probably are more familiar with that word, but it's all kind of the same thing. Basic teachings of the Christian faith, um, about God, about who God is in various categories. You'll learn uh, the types of categories we're going to cover as we go over the syllabus, and then you'll become more familiar with them throughout the course. But hopefully, you'll enjoy this class and learn a lot, whatever your degree of exposure to Christianity. Though I took a class like this when I was an undergrad at Belmont University, Christian Doctrine, my second year in the program. Um, and then at Fuller, I took three classes in what is called systematic theology. We kind of stated that as a more advanced level. It actually, well, it turns one class into three classes and goes into much more depth and covers covers it at a much more advanced level. So this is designed to be an undergraduate course, and if you go on to a graduate level, maybe you'll get a chance to take a a graduate level course in Christian systematic theology. Uh, but I, anyways, hope you enjoy this course and hope you get to learn more about the basic teachings of the Christian faith. So the goal is um, to present these as objectively as possible, knowing that some of you are Christians, some of you are not. I do want you to think about these teachings. I won't be so much trying to persuade you to one specific thought as just covering them, but asking you to think about them and give them fair thoughts in your mind. And I'll be asking your perspectives, probably in the homework assignments on various things. Uh, so again, I myself am Christian. Uh, you may know there are different types of churches, and I have been in a few different types myself, um, including Baptist, Presbyterian, Vineyard. Currently, I go to a Nazarene church most of the time, but a few other churches as well, including Baptist and Vineyard and non-denominational. Uh, and sometimes I just like to attend different types of churches. There are in California not only many famous churches, many large churches that are well known, but there, because of the diversity, there are also many different types of churches. So I've taken advantage of that over the years to attend many different churches, different from the ones I grew up with the goal of at some point attending all the major ones. So I have been to also to Catholic and Orthodox, Lutheran, Mennonite, you name it, I've probably been there. Many more that we could describe. And there's always a few more I think of that I would like, I tried to go to at some point. And as far as ethnic churches go, I've been to Korean, Armenian, Ethiopian, and a few others, I guess. So, and then the most recent church that I served also was a very diverse church. They had um, services and congregations that were one was Chinese, or Mandarin speaking Chinese, one was Taiwanese, one was English speaking, uh, with a wide variety of people, including Japanese and Filipino and older adults. But the youth group was mostly Taiwanese American, and then some of the younger crowd was or were more recent immigrants from China that were Mandarin speaking primarily. So I worked with all of those types of groups, and I worked with the Korean group also for 1 year. And I've had many Korean friends over the years. Uh, the Korean church I served was at the time in Northridge. I heard it later moved to Chatsworth. Um, was a Presbyterian church. Last I heard, it is still in existence. Okay, so and then there's a famous church called Mosaic, which is officially a Baptist church. Last I checked, but I was part of that church for many years as well. Uh, all right, let us go over the syllabus before we start the actual lecture. So I will open that. We'll go over it. Uh, so again, this is REL 131, Christian Doctrine at International University of the East for summer 2023, a hybrid class. So this course provides an introduction and overview of the essential teachings of Christian theology. Theology is a fancy word that means the study of God, or topics related to God and Christian faith. After offering a discussion of how and why you study theology, the course will focus on doctrines related to God, revelation and scripture, creation and providence, human beings, the person and work of Christ, the Holy Spirit, the church, and last things. Uh, let's look at the objectives. Upon completion of this course, each student will be able to define the terms, theology, and doctrine, and chart a proper approach to their study, demonstrate a basic familiarity with major Christian teachings related to God, revelation in Scripture, creation and providence, human beings, the person and work of Christ, the Holy Spirit, the church, and last things. Describe the importance and value for the study of theology in order to know God, in addition to knowing about God, and apply theological reflection within both their academic studies and personal religious lives. So, at least wants you to learn about the concept of theological reflection that can be applied not only in to Christian faith, or for those of you that are Christians, but to anyone. Anyone can think theologically. Christians, by default, should be able to think theologically. To be a Christian is, in some sense, to be a theologian, but um, that could also apply to other religions, uh, whether you are Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Jewish, especially major world religions, or even if you're not religious, you might think uh, theologically about things as well, or you might at least begin to learn how to do that to some degree. Uh, so, our instruction will consist of lectures, reading assignments, class discussions, and well, the handouts will be notes that we go through each class. So I'm going to be I'm going through the syllabus now, and I'll be reading through the lecture notes each time. Now, anytime any of you would like to get a copy of these notes, feel free to include that in your email to me each week. I'm not exactly sure what the school sends you other than the link to the lecture, but if you would like to get a hard copy or an email with the file for the notes or the syllabus or other things, let me know, and I will send that to you. That's a soft copy, not a hard copy. Uh, Now, if we were to meet in person, I would strongly recommend or encourage classroom questions and discussions. We cannot do that since we're mostly going to meet online, uh, and probably will not be able to do more audiovisual presentations or have any speakers or other types of critical thinking exercises. I'll include every week in the at least the extra credit, if not the main homework assignment. Uh, but otherwise, we cannot do group activities uh, just in our predominantly online format. Okay, so each class will have a lecture on the assigned chapters. Students are expected to read the material prior to the class. That's up to you if you would like to do that. I will be covering uh, my lecture will come from the notes each week or from the materials each week. So uh, I always recommend reading the book, and but you should be able to get by with the lecture notes primarily. And I may work some problems and case studies in class. And again, if we were in person, you could work alone or in groups to do assigned problems. Um, that'll be up to you if you would like to meet on your own in groups. Otherwise, it's only going to be individual. Okay, the required textbook, I had initially chosen this book called Exploring Christian Doctrine by Tony Lane, IVP Academic, 2014. I've decided to change the book I am going to use Um, Now, this may be a great book. It may have a lot of good things about it. I may take some things from it still to use, but primarily I've decided I don't think the way it's organized is as fitting for a very basic level Christian doctrine class. Uh, I chose a different book instead that sticks more toward the standard format of topics, and that book is called Practicing Christian Doctrine by Beth Filker Jones. You'll see that in the notes for the first lecture. Unfortunately, it was too late to change the syllabus. I'll change it next time. Um, but this is still a recommended book and still worth reading. But the main textbook will be by Beth Filker Jones. Currently, it's in its first edition, but the second edition will come out in just about a week or two. Uh, so when that happens, I will start using materials from or at least by the end of the class, I will be using materials from the second edition. But probably the first half will be more from the first edition still. All right, and also I always give the Bible, the Holy Bible, as an additional resource. Sometimes I do take passages from the Bible to discuss or to explore in more depth, or for us to uh, to practice using theology. Okay, I've given you here my contact information, uh, my email, and my phone number. Uh, Now, sometimes I get busy and I may not respond to you right away, but give me a few days and I'll respond to you, and I'll try to respond to you as soon as I can. But I do teach. I'll be teaching a total of 3 classes this time, and also working almost full time at my primary job. So all combined, that is very much like having 2 full-time jobs. So it may be challenging at certain busy times for me to get back to you right away, but please be patient and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, especially before tests or things like that. Uh, and the primary meeting time that this class is scheduled is 5 to 9 on Thursday. So since this is an online class, that's only going to apply for our actual on-campus meetings, which is for the midterm and the final. As far as I know, the school will still email you the notes, usually on Mondays, but it's up to the school to decide if they're going to do that on Mondays or Thursdays. I don't know for sure at the moment. So I'm recording this to be sent out July 3rd, Monday morning, but if they wait till Thursday, the 6th, they may do that as well. Uh, Anyways, you can go ahead and start emailing me as soon as you can with your assignments, and I'll start checking and grading those. Uh, and on the days I come to campus, so definitely should be there 15 minutes before class and after class and during the breaks. Uh, and you can also reach me by email. And I'll respond to you as soon as I can. And if you urgently need to contact me, you may call me by phone, but um, if I don't answer right away, then you'll need to leave a message, and I'll get back to you. Since I'm working so much, it may be hard for me to answer when you call, but if you leave a message, I'll definitely call you back. Uh, and I get a lot of scam calls, as I'm sure you do too, so I don't always answer by phone if I don't know who it is. Okay, I'm not aware there are any other office hours, but um, I'll plan to be there for that period of 4 hours Thursday, twice during the quarter. Now, I reserve the right to change or modify the syllabus, and I'll notify you accordingly. So uh, I'll go ahead and tell you the textbook change I made, but you can see that textbook in the notes on lecture one. That's the primary book I'm going to use, and I'll just make the one I had here the recommended or secondary textbook, or there will be a couple other, at least one more secondary textbook as well, as you'll see. Uh, but sometimes they may take material from this book still or from other sources. All right. Please make attendance to to be in class during all sessions. Uh, Attendance is strictly monitored, and I do keep a track of attendance through your assignments each week. That counts as attendance. So if you don't complete the weekly assignment, you don't get attendance for the week. And if we were to meet on campus, I also encourage participation in discussions. All right, and let's see. Students are expected to do their own work. Copying assignments will be considered cheating and will be penalized. So please do your own work. Please do not wait to the last minute to do your assignments. If we were to meet on campus, I would encourage you to discuss your work and assignments together. You can learn a lot from your peers, but at the end, each person has to do their own assignment independently. And I don't plan on having any group projects at the moment. So if any part of your assignment represents the words and ideas of others, you must cite these sources. Academic dishonesty includes, but is not limited to, asking a tutor or friend to complete a portion of your assignments, hiring a reviewer to make extensive revisions to your assignments, submitting work originally submitted by another student as your own work, using information from online resources without properly citing your source, and copying any portion of the word or idea from any other source that you do not cite. I'll be going over with you citation styles in the next week or two as well. Okay, let's look at the projects and assignments, which are 20% of your grade, announced in class each lecture. And so these weekly assignments are announced in class each lecture and are due at the beginning of class on the specified due date. No late work will be accepted. Try to turn it in on time. I may be more gracious about that, but please try to do your best to turn your work in on time. And let's see. Since this is still an online instructional sessions, uh, assignments should be emailed to me by the following class session. So I'll say for every week of class, please submit your assignments to me by the following week. Okay, that's your weekly attendance assignments. So again, this counts as your attendance, and I will give you, what I do is I give you a very basic question, like what have you learned this week, that you respond to get attendance, and I also give you some extra credit. It'll give you a few more points. We'll ask you something more specific. All right. Then there's the project or paper, which is 20% of your grade. And oh man, this is analysis of a Christian doctrine topic. Let me go ahead and change this. I didn't realize I didn't change that. Topic related to Christian doctrine, which should be 5 pages, but that includes a title page and a bibliography page. So if you have just 3 pages of the actual body of the paper, that's fine. 3 to 5 pages. Choose one doctrine we have discussed in the course. Do additional research on the doctrine. Then write a paper to analyze some important aspects of this doctrine that you have learned from your research. A few quotations may be used as long as the source is referenced. You should include an argument for your own views of the doctrine, and the paper should include at least, I'll say, 4 references, 4 minimum. 5 or 6 is good too, but at least 4 references, uh, 4 other books or articles, and use a recognized citation and reference style, such as Kate Turabian's A Manual for Writers of Term Papers, Theses, and Dissertations, which last I heard is on the 9th edition. Uh, so there are different academic styles for papers. Um, you can use any standard one you want to. You don't have to use the one by Turabian, but it's the one that I'm most familiar with. Uh, there's also the Chicago, which is related, but Turabian uses footnotes and Chicago uses um, citations in the paper. And there's also APA and MLA. Those are the ones that I know about, and I'm most familiar with the Turabian one. So the paper is due the 10th week of class. Okay, so um, then we have also a midterm and a final exam. Uh, so to put all the grades together, your attendance or weekly homework is 20%. Your midterm exam and final exam each is 30%. And then the final, um, I'll say the paper / presentation. Since we're not meeting in person, you do not have the option of presenting it, but I'll just say the paper / presentation is 20%. All of those combined are 100%, and it's the grade accordingly. 90% and above is A, or 90 to 100, A to or A minus to A plus, and then you can see accordingly 80 to 89, B 70 to 79, C 60 to 69, D. If it's less than 60, you will not pass the class. So you needed 60 points to pass. And again, I do give you some extra credit options, both on the exams as well as on the weekly assignments. Uh, so keep those in mind. Now, here is our academic schedule. The first week is class introduction, and this is what I had planned to cover from the original textbook I chose, but now it's going to be a little different. So don't worry about this. I will try to change this syllabus accordingly, and if you want to copy the revised syllabus, I will give that to you. But it'll be just what I have in the notes each week for that specific lesson. But I planned to talk a lot about methods, theological methods, and then as well as the actual topics in the class, which will be things like God, revelation, the what it means to study theology, uh, how and why to study theology, and then we'll get into other topics: the Trinity, creation, revelation, human beings, uh, the person and work of Christ, the Holy Spirit, salvation, the church, and last things. Those are all our topics. So you might see those here, but it's possible the order is going to be changed. But the important thing that will stay the same is that every week uh, will be the lecture, and I will give you an assignment every week, except for the 2 test days, and then that assignment's due the following week or accordingly. So keep this in mind. So again, the midterm is the 5th week, which is August the 3rd. Um, so be sure that you come to campus for that midterm, and then we'll have a few more weeks, and the final exam will be on um, September the 7th. All right, so that will cover cover everything for this class. All right. Now let me go ahead and open the actual lecture. And check one more thing again. Oops. Uh, okay. August 3rd and September 7th. Yes, that's the dates that you will need to come. Okay, let's open the lecture now. All right. And we'll start the lecture 1 with a course introduction, which is modified from a little book for theologians by Kelly Capick. This is from the introduction. Uh, so this little book will be a secondary resource that I'll go through, and possibly I'll have one or two other secondary resources besides the main textbook. This is probably the main one, and this is Kelly Capick, who is usually I'm used to the name Kelly being a female name, but this is actually a male, so Kelly is he in this case. So welcome to Christian Doctrine. It's not just one, not part 1 and 2, like I had planned. It is Christian Doctrine, or the introduction to the study of theology or the study of God. We often think of theology as a purely academic subject, perhaps an overly complex one, uh, and many courses of study may prefer a kind of detachment in the way theology is studied. In other words, theology is studied in a way that is detached from life and personal commitment and spirituality with the idea of unbiased objectivity. Theology is an important subject. Good theology can liberate lives, but people can misuse theology, leading to abuse, hard hearts, and pain. One matter of concern today is the sharp division between academics and the church, or we could say theology and spirituality, or even theology and life. So, this course and the textbooks we're going to use, um, the course is intended to help new theologians avoid such divisions of theological detachment. So, the goal is that we will study theology in a way that relates to daily life. So let's start with the question, why study theology? This is part 1 of Capick's book, and we'll turn to chapter 1, entering the conversation. Some people have a painful uncertainty about the existence of God. Most people believe in a God, but may wonder what God is like, along with which God is real or how many gods. How do we know God? Is God good? Whenever we speak about God, we are engaged in theology. Theology means a word about God or the study of God. So, thus, everyone speaking about God is involved in theology, not just those in an academic setting, such as professors. Theological questions surround our lives, whether we know it or not. Our concepts about God or the divine inform and affect our lives more deeply than we realize. The thoughts we have about God guide our lives, whether they are formed through careful reflection or careless assumptions. Uh, Christians should care deeply about theology. True worship of God demands our thoughts, words, feelings, and actions, even as God renews our lives. We must respond to the true God who exists rather than create our own God. Um, that's a term that would apply through our own faulty ideas, our own constructions about God that we're essentially making up, uh, that have no objective reality. They're just, in a sense, our own imaginations. The scriptures speak of the God who made the heavens and the earth. Scriptures, in this case, being the Christian Bible. Uh, so the scriptures speak of the God who made the heavens and the earth and created humans to be in relationship with Him. The entry of sin into the world has caused death and chaos, as well as idolatry. This is a substitute for the worship of the true God. The Bible frequently warns about the temptation to idolatry and describes times when God's people turned away from Him and followed false gods. We see that many times, especially in the Old Testament with the nation of Israel. Uh, Theological reflection is a way of examining our worship, prayers, and words to make sure they conform to God alone. In every age, we have idols and ways we distort how we view God, ourselves, and the world. We must recognize that God calls us to respond faithfully to Him in our own place and time. We are invited to know and love God and thus worship Him. Okay, let's take one quick break and we will continue shortly.